Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Gathering Movement interview series. My name is Bridget Aileen Cisco. I'm a speaker, author, Kundalini yoga teacher, and your host for today. We're going to be talking to Cornell Thomas all about the power of positivity. So thank you, Cornell, for being here.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Awesome. So if you're new to the Gathering Movement, really this intention and this mission and this series began because I wanted to bring together thought leaders, way showers, pioneers, these badass people across all different industries, from the healing arts to finance to fitness to education, who are really here to empower others to become the leader of their lives and really do some good work in the world. So I always like to start with my first question. And the question is, how does your work in the world empower others to be the leader of their lives?
Well, I would say that my work is to inspire people. So I really do believe that motivation is something that is intrinsic. I don't think that you can motivate human beings, right? Like they say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. So my goal on this planet is to inspire people about multiple things. So purpose, positivity, mindset, unity, all those things. So I think that my work, if it can inspire someone to take action, then mission accomplished. It inspires someone to think a little bit differently than the way they were, then mission accomplished.
I love that. We're on the same wavelength here. And I'm sure that the community who watches this will also be on the same wavelength. So if you are here with us live, definitely let us know. Post any questions, comments, fun that we're having as we go. So for you, the whole idea of the power of positivity, when did you really realize that that was something important and was going to be a driving force of your own life?
Yeah, I always knew it was important because growing up, we had a, pretty dire situation. My father passed when I was really young. He's a police officer in Passaic, New Jersey. He passed when I was 4, and my mom raised 5 of us by herself with like no money. So I was raised by a lioness. So my mom was the kind of person that she never put her head in her hands and said that this is impossible. I talk about my mom, Bridget, like I get a knot in my throat because this woman she's such an integral part of the man I am. And I only pray that young men understand how beautiful, powerful, and impactful women are. Right. I only pray that. Like, I really do mean that. I get goosebumps when I say it because, I didn't have my father, but it didn't make me any less of a man. Right. Like, it didn't make me any less. I had a woman that gave me, more love than, 8 parents could have gave me. So I grew up, on the everything happens for a reason. And one thing that people often understand is sometimes you don't realize what that reason is until later on in life. Like, I didn't realize why my father passed until I had a son, right? Until I had my child and held him in my arms. Then I realized, like, oh, okay, this is the most important job ever that you're ever going to have. And maybe if I had a dad, I don't know, maybe I would have took it for granted. I don't know. So I've always wanted to be a father ever since I was little, but everything happens for a reason also can happen a lot. Like, think about Martin Luther King, right? So he did all this stuff. He was murdered. So he didn't get to see the fruits of his labor. He didn't get to see kind of where we went from there. He just lived every day, and like every day he lived his movement. So same thing with you, like every day you live your movement. Every day I live my movement in terms of positivity. I didn't get into this until 8 years ago, but my mindset has always been, and my chapters have always been kind of turning towards this page until I finally got here. But it's all because of the great Tina Thomas. It's all because of my mom, why my mindset is how it is.
I love it. Thank you, Mom. Thank you, Mom. That means the world. So I did pull up your website before this, and I saw that you were a past athlete. And I've always been really inspired by athletes because they have this mindset and this determination and this resilience that I don't think we naturally have unless you've probably been an athlete or have some exposure to the work. So how did that shape really some of your core values?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing with me is people see me and they're like, oh man, must have been playing basketball since you were 2. I didn't start playing basketball when I was 16 and I sucked. I was terrible. Like, I was god awful. Like, a lot of people see like tall black dude. He looks semi-athletic. He probably was super coordinated. I was like a baby deer, so I started playing basketball because I didn't feel up until that point that I had any type of identity. No one knew me for anything. They knew me as Cornell so-and-so's little brother or Cornell, whatever, like got the bad haircut. Like I had a high top fade. It was like crooked. So people knew me for that shit, but they didn't know me for anything. So I had a cousin from where my mom is from in a small town called Burson's, Virginia, that was like this stud athlete. And one day I saw these newspaper clippings of him, and it inspired me to like, oh, I want to be a basketball player. I had no idea the work that had to be put in. But you're right. The difference between athletes, especially when you're trying to play at a professional level, and everybody else, is that you realize that success is solitude. It's a very lonely place sometimes. Like that, once you get there, it's not, because everybody wants to come onto your journey. But the work up until that point, I was by myself so much. I was alone so much. And I was okay with that, because the end game for me was playing professional basketball, so my mom didn't have to struggle anymore. So I had like this now when people say like, what's your why? It's like everybody uses that now, but like for real, like my purpose was so my mom could stop struggling, so she can like take a minute and rest. And that's why I was so driven. And once you have that drive and that work ethic, it doesn't go anywhere. You just transfer it. You transfer it to, for me, I transfer it to coaching, I transfer it to speaking, I transfer it to being a father. You just transfer the work ethic to other places.
I love it. Yeah. And as you're saying that, I just think about like the entrepreneurial journey. I do a lot of work with entrepreneurs, and it can probably be a pretty lonely place. You're so dedicated. You're doing day in and day out the same things, and sometimes you see no results, right? But you have to be in it for the long game. You have to be in it.
It's just so funny you said that. Again, we're lined up, right? So my next book that's coming out later on, like into January, is called Game of Death, and it's all about entrepreneurship. Like real entrepreneurship, like not the stuff that you see on social media, like make 6 figures in one day, like not that garbage. Like it's like real, like, hey man, like you're going to be eating ramen noodles for the next 3 months just so you can lift this project and make this thing happen. So it's all about like the mindset. And that's why I think it's helped me become an entrepreneur, is because one, I knew at a very early age, I never want to work for anybody. Like I knew that at a very, very early age. I was like, I ain't working for nobody. Like I'm not going to have anybody control my destiny. There's a quick story. So when I was in 6th grade, I played Little League baseball, right? I just tried it for a year. I played Little League baseball. And we had there was no food in the house. I felt like as a kid, there's food in the house, but you feel like there's no food in the house because it's not the food that you want in the house. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, man, I'm so hungry. I was like, Mom, can we order a pizza? And my mom looked at me and she's like, no. And like, it's only one time, right? Just no, and that's it. Like, it's a wrap. Don't ask again. And so my mom was part of this group called Weight Watchers, and they had these like chocolate chip cookies, like a box of 100, and they tasted like death, right? There's 5 kids in the house. No one has eaten these cookies at all. We all tried one, and like, I think we all threw up at the same time. So there's this big box of cookies left. And I went up to my mom and I said, Mom, can I have those cookies? And she goes, yeah, baby boy. She goes, don't eat them all. And I'm like, I don't gotta worry about that shit. So I go upstairs, I put on my baseball uniform, I get this box of cookies, and I sell them to my neighbors. I just walk. I might have possibly said that we were building a field, but I walked down the block and I sold all 100 cookies for like 50 cents. I made like $50. And when I came back home, my mom was waiting for me like on the front porch, and I'm like thinking about oh, I'm gonna die. Like I'm literally gonna die. Like I'm gonna tell my mom what I just did, and she's gonna kill me. They're gonna make a T-shirt with my face on it. So I get to my mom, and my mom goes, what'd you do with the cookies? And I put my head down. I said, Mom, I sold them. And she looked at me and she laughed and she kissed me on my forehead and she goes, I don't worry about you. And at like that moment, she could have literally killed my idea of being an entrepreneur. She could have crushed it if I would have gotten in trouble. But instead, she was just so happy. Like I was resourceful and let me keep $50. In 6th grade, $50 back then was like $1 million. I'm like, what am I gonna do? I was like, I'm gonna make it rain up in here. Like, what am I gonna do with $50, right? So, again, the influence of Tina Thomas is reigns supreme.
Maybe your next book is also just going to be about her.
Yeah, if I can get through it. I wrote a chapter in my 3rd book about her, and I tried to read it to her in front of people at one of my events, and I just couldn't.
So special. And now, what do people do though if they have that parent or that person in their life that's like, nah, you can't do it?
Yeah, That's the hardest thing, right? So I spoke in Dubai 2 years ago, and that was the question that came up more than any other question. It's a different culture. So it's like, if you're my child and I'm a doctor, then you are a doctor. And I don't care what you want. I don't care what your dreams are, Bridget. Like, you're going to be a doctor just like your father, right? So that's the question I got. And what I would tell the kids is, like, you have to understand something. At some point in time, you're going to wake up and you're going to realize you're living someone else's life and not yours. Time is so short. Like, time is time is BS, right? There's no such thing, right? Like, such a BS. But it's like how we figure out, like, how to go to work and how to come back home, and oh, it's dark, and so. But you're gonna wake up and you're gonna be 80, and you're gonna realize, like, I lived my life for everybody but myself. So if my mom was opposite, and I had this mindset, if my mom said to me, "Hey, Cornell, I don't think you can do anything," right? Words are negative, right? They're all neutral until you give them a label. My friend Michael said this at the last Positivity Summit. All of them, they're neutral till you give it a label. So if I say to myself, well, my mom doesn't think I can do it, so I can't do it, then you're right. That's what I tell people all the time. Like, whatever you want to plant in this garden, you're right. You don't think you can do it? 100%. You cannot do it. And they look at me like I'm crazy. Like, I'm like, what you think? I'm gonna throw you some rainbows and butterfly type stuff? Like, I'm real. I'm being real with you, right? If you say that I can do, there's nothing I cannot do, and you put the work and action towards it, I 100% believe that you can do it. Bridget, if you tell me, hey, Cornell, this is going to be the biggest show that has ever come out, bigger than Joe Rogan, bigger than all these other shows, I'm going to be like, hell yeah, it's going to be. Let's freaking go. How can I help? Right? Because that's something that you truly believe. You know, it's something that's helping people. That's why I try to tell kids, like, sometimes you can't control your circle, because sometimes people in your circle are your family and they're negative. But you've got to filter what messages you take in. And if you don't have filtration there, you know, you're going to be at the control of their words.
Preach. That's all I got to say. Preach. Preach. Hell yeah. That's really, I mean, what it comes down to. Like, everything that we plant in this garden, then what we water it, who we spend time with, what we believe in, that's what we're going to create. So you have that choice. And I like to bring it back to the individual. Like, you have that choice at the end of the day, what you're going to do and make of your life. You do.
Well, that's the thing. We don't think we do, right? Like, we make every excuse to take that power away. Oh, no, that's not up to us. I had a bad upbringing, or I live here, or, like, you know, my girlfriend hates me, my boyfriend says I can't do it. That's not on them. They're just being who they are supposed to be in this world, I guess. That's on you. You're the one believing it. If you tell me, Bridget, like, hey, Cornell, you know what? I think you're really short. I'm 6'5". If you say that to me, and I'm like, I can't believe Bridget thinks I'm short. That's terrible. Like, why does she think I'm short? And that's what I focus and fixate on. That's not your fault. That's all on me, right? So I think we just give power away all the time. We give power away all the time. We don't realize, like, it's right there for the taking.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm curious, just for my own personal selfish reasons, what are your greatest dreams? Like, I need to know, because if this is what we're talking about, they got to be big.
My dreams are crazy. They're crazy in the best way, right? Okay. So one of my biggest purposes that I say, because I have multiple purposes, but one of them is helping people realize they have purpose, right? That's one of the biggest things. That's why I love to speak. That's why I love to travel and meet different cultures, etc. There's a couple things that I want to do. Not a couple, a million. So one, I'm working, like, on a TV show. Right? Because TV, can I curse?
Yeah.
Oh, TV is bullshit, right? Like, we know this, right? Like, TV is bullshit. TV is going to be, okay, this is what you're supposed to look like. This is supposed to, how you're supposed to feel. These are the cool kids. These are the kids that aren't cool, blah, 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 blah. It's been like that since the beginning of TV, right? So I want to have a television station that's all positive, good vibe TV and programming. All of it. Nothing you turn on is going to have any drama, any negative, any celebrity garbage, none of that stuff. You're not going to see a Kardashian butt. You're not going to see any of this stuff, right? So that's one thing. I want to eventually, at some point, open up an entrepreneur school, right? And I want to get kids from all different areas, inner city, suburb, rural, wherever, bring these kids together, get the dopest educators, not make it look like a freaking prison like all our schools look, not have the kids sitting down for 9 hours straight learning historic facts that are untrue, but we still say they're true because we don't want to take the time to change the damn history books, right? It's another thing. I want to speak 100 to 150 times a year for the next 3 years. And then after that, I want to taper it down to 50 and have people come to me. I run a thing called the Positivity Summit. I run positivity summits all over the world. And I don't want to run it myself. It's not called the Cornell's Dope Summit. It's called the Positivity Summit. I want to be like, hey, Bridge, can you do me a favor? Can you run this Positivity Summit in Australia? Get your people to it. Hey, Gaps, can you run this here? I'll run this here. And I want to bring people together. There's a South African word, it's Ubuntu, Ubuntu, means I am because we are, right? Mm-hmm. That's what I want. Like, that's what I want to encompass every day. When I get up in the morning, I want to be like, Ubuntu, how can I bring people together? How can we get rid of this division that is the narrative we've been given since the beginning of time, right? We've been given that narrative. Like, oh, wait, you can't like Bridget, or you can't vibe with Bridget because she looks a certain way, or you look a certain way, or she makes a certain amount of money, or the gender, or whatever. It's garbage. It's such garbage. And we fall for it. Every generation falls for it. So my whole thing is bringing people together, spreading real positivity, not saying never be mad or never be angry or never be what, like, no, you can sit in that for a second. You just can't lay in it, right? So like, I just feel like the message is real. And like, when you see all these people that are on social media now, like so many of them, it's the same shit. It's cookie cutter, right? It's the same thing. People are saying the same thing since the beginning of time, and they're trying to dress it up. When you come to my event, I'm not behind the curtain, like, and Cornell Thomas, and I like pop up, like, you know, doing this crap. Like, when you come to my event, I'm greeting you at the door, because who am I? I'm not above you. You're not above me. I'm not below you, right? So I think it's just important for us, like people like yourself that are doing like beautiful things like this. Like, you're the one, like your voices are the ones that have to be like broadcasted. I want to hear about Bridget. What's Bridget doing? Because she's real, right? And relatable. She's real, relatable, and accessible. If you can get the voices that are real, relatable, and accessible out there for people, now true change is going to happen.
Hell yeah. And I love this like shift, because I've always thought about this with like leaders and celebrities. We put them on these crazy pedestals, and then we make ourselves feel bad about ourselves. And that's bullshit. Exactly. That is bullshit. We have no space for that. So the way I see it is like, I'm a leader and I'm a student at the same time. I'm a teacher, and I can understand and learn from someone else. Mm-hmm. And we're all in this together. So all that division stuff, everything that separates us is an illusion. It's literally a huge illusion. We're all on this floating planet together. Like, let's go big a little bit, guys. Yeah. We're on a floating planet in meat suits, just trying to do our best.
Yep. Absolute facts. Absolute facts. Like, I always tell people, every day you wake up, you win the lottery. Every day. Every day you get an opportunity. I just an Instagram live today. I said, think about this. You could have been on this earth having this experience as a squirrel. Imagine that. You could be a squirrel right now. You could be seeing these large things running down your cousins and family members as you were just trying to get walnuts. Like, you could be a freaking squirrel. You got chosen to be a human. Yeah. You got chosen to be a human. How dope is that? Like, you can experience, like, animals can experience love too, but we can articulate that to other people. Like, I love this person, right? Like, that's it's like the golden ticket, right? Like, we all found the golden ticket. It's like, and we just throw it away. It's crazy.
So you and I are on this, wild revolution to bring the power back into people's hands, so they can realize that they are worthy, and they've always been worthy. It's just their stories that they've told themselves day in and day out that have caused them to realize that that's not true. Yep.
100%. I love it. You're getting me all fired up. I'm going to go headbutt a bear after this.
Yeah. I'm going to the gym after this because I can't wait. I am fired up.
They'd be like, Bridget, calm down. You have like weights running on a treadmill at the same time.
No, I love it. And one of my biggest missions is to inspire us to use our voices. I think one person makes the change in the world. And it starts with that one person who says, I can do this, and I can make someone else's day. And that other person can then inspire someone else, and it becomes this crazy ass ripple effect. But when we don't say yes to ourselves, we're doing a disservice to ourselves and humanity. I truly, truly believe.
For sure. I mean, think about it. This is why I don't worry about who's in the White House ever. I never worry about it. And this is why. Because I'll never meet that person. Right? Neither will you, neither will anybody else. 99.99% of the people on the planet will never meet the person that's there. You know who you will meet? Your neighbor, the person you meet at the supermarket, right? The person that's at the DMV that's annoying as shit, but you're like trying to like USA and like practice patience. Like, that's our life experience is determined by people that we come in contact with, right? And that affect us directly. That's why my life experience is never going to be changed by something as trivial and as dumb and as corrupt as politics.
Yeah.
Never, ever will I play that game. Like, you have family members unfriending each other because of something they cannot control, something that is so corrupted and so ridiculous as politics. And this is what people argue about. This is the flag that you fly every day, like getting into arguments and saying this side and that side. Guess what? Both sides suck. There's your news flash. There's your news flash. You know why? Because both sides are ran by people that don't give a shit about Bridget or a shit about Cornell. All they care about is money. That's it, right? They care about the 1%, not the 99%. And the 99% isn't Black people, white people, men, women. 99% is all of us. We're all in the 99%. Like, yo, what's up? We're not billionaires. We're not trillionaires yet. Like, what's up? Like, why are you forgetting about us? Right? So I look at social media and I just laugh to myself. I said, man, you're going to spend your whole life with so much anger and so much hurt when you can just literally just turn your news off, turn your TV off, and then just start thinking for yourself.
Oof, I think this is a great reminder and probably one of the main reasons why you are going to start your own TV show, because we are a product of what we consume, the food we consume, the relationships, the conversations. So if you are feeding yourself with the bullshit and the narratives that aren't truth, aren't like truth, that's going to be your reality.
Yeah.
And I think, the question to the world is, what do you choose? Ball's in your court.
Yeah. That's a beautiful question, right? Imagine everybody woke up and said, hey, what am I going to choose today? What am I going to choose today? That's a beautiful, I get goosebumps. That's a beautiful question. What am I going to choose today? Right? And like, you can use that any situation, any moment, right? The barista at Starbucks gets your name wrong. And, am I going to choose to be butthurt because she called me Cordelli, or she called me instead of Cornell? Or am I gonna be cool with it and be like, man, at least I can afford coffee, right? At least I drink hot chocolate. At least I can afford hot chocolate, So that's beautiful, Bridget. I like that.
Yeah, we could probably riff on this for hours. So midnight and everyone's like, what's going on?
It's 3:00 in the morning. We're sitting there like, yeah, and blah, blah, blah. They're like, oh my God. Call the authorities. These people have lost their mind.
So for the people out there who are like, I want to say yes to myself, I deserve a life that I love, where do they start? What do they do, Cornell?
Yeah. Well, the hardest thing for us to do as human beings is self-assess. The hardest thing. The hardest thing for us to do is look in the mirror, because it's scary in there. It's so freaking scary in there, because this brain works on a negativity bias. That means if I tell you, hey, Bridge, I got $15,000 for you, immediately your mind is going to start saying, well, where is it from? Is it stolen? Like, why are you going to kill me after? Like, what's $15,000? Like, it's very hard for us to accept good things. That's why there's a pros and cons, right? Because it protects us. It's like, okay, maybe this thing isn't good. But a lot of people, they lean so far to the negativity that they don't see what's going on. So the first thing is you need to do is you get up a sheet of paper, right? And you start asking yourself questions, right? Like, I start asking myself questions like, what do I want to do? Like, what do I want? Like, seriously, like, what do I want to do? And when I meet people that say, like, I don't know what I want to do, I'm like, well, you're not asking the question enough, right? Like, you're not really breaking it down. So back in the days before this bullshit math, like Common Core nonsense, right? We used to do like division and be like long division, right? Like 5 divided by 100, and you put the 2 and the 0, and then it comes down. And then you start doing this, and next thing you know, you get down to the lowest common denominator, or nothing, or 0. That's how it has to be when you self-assess, right? Well, like, this is what I want to do, and then all of a sudden, that little voice is going to say, well, you can't do that. Well, why is that little voice saying that? Like, why can't I do it? And then you break it down. Then you find out, well, when you were in 4th grade, so this teacher said that you were a terrible artist, right? Or when you were in high school, someone said that there's no way you could ever model, right? Or you're not smart enough to be a lawyer. And then you start getting to the root of the problem, and you realize at the end of the day, it's not that person's words, it's you believing them. And so why not go out and be exactly who the F you're supposed to be on the planet, and stop letting other people control your life? So without that self-assessment, without saying, well, I'm very talented at this, I'm very passionate about this, let me put these things together. Without that, you end up just being part of the flock, and you just live your 75, 80 years whenever you die, and then you just perish. And then your experience, then we don't know what's happening next. Then we'll see what happens next. But while I'm in this body, man, I want to enjoy it. Like I want to go crazy.
Yeah.
You know, then whatever happens next happens next. But while I'm here, man, I need to discover. I need to find things out. I need to like meet new people. I was in Saudi Arabia last year, and I was just like, holy crap! Like I'm a kid from Passaic, New Jersey. Like I'm in Saudi Arabia right now. Like what in the hell is happening, God? Like the universe is like, yo, I got you, fam. It doesn't mean things are easy. Life is a struggle, right? Like a struggle every day. There's always something I can focus on. But the fact that there's so much abundance that's opening up because I just believe it's there. You know, I believe whoever you want to be, you just haven't caught up to yet. In either direction, good or bad, the best version of Bridget is literally sitting there like this. Come on, girl. Like I see you working. Come on, I'm waiting. Let's go. Right? Either or.
I love it. And I appreciate the tangible aspect to that, because I think something that trips people up with this work of like self-discovery and figuring out their purpose and positivity is it feels so esoteric and ethereal. So it's like, okay, we got to bring that down into our 3D human reality and take out a piece of paper and start asking yourself some questions.
Yeah. But you can see, but this is the thing, like you can talk about this, B. I'm already giving you your nickname, but like you can talk about this and like you can break it down into layman's terms, right? And that's why people that are like light workers and stuff like that, like that's what they need to understand. A lot of them can't do that shit. A lot of them are like, yeah, you know, your fifth chakra is closed and blah blah blah. It's like somebody that doesn't know what you're talking about is gonna think you're in Looneyville, right? Like you have to, even all that stuff is real and true. You've got to be able to put it in layman's terms. You have to be able to have a conversation with someone and meet them where they are. They're not ready to learn about chakras and third eyes and stuff, all that stuff. Like, tell them how to get better. Like, what's the step? Give them an actionable step. And then they're going to be able to, then once they get through it, then they'll be able to like, oh, okay, cool. I'm starting to understand a little bit more of this stuff. Right. So I just try to put everything, like even my books, I want a fifth grader to be able to pick up my book and at least kind of understand the concepts and be like, okay, I kind of see what this dude is talking about.
I love that. I work with a lot of very spiritual entrepreneurs, and this is the biggest struggle because their language and like, you know, they're very much thinking of the deeper introspective parts of life. And I personally made a decision about a year ago that I was going to be the bridge, right, Bridget. I was going to be the bridge between the upper realms, the spiritual, and the just real ass 3D reality that we have going on here. And I have to make it relatable, or else this is not going to be as easy as I want it to.
Yeah, I love it. That's so dope, though. I love that your name is Bridget because you are 100% the bridge. You can put it where people can understand it. And my friends that are in that realm, that spiritual realm, I'm always telling them, it's like, hey man, I feel you. I love it. I love what you're trying to say, but people don't understand what you're talking about. Like the people in your world understand what you're talking about. They're the ones that are like, yeah, high five. People that don't know you, they're going to turn it off within 4 or 5 seconds because they don't realize what you're talking about. They don't understand it.
Yep. So important. So important. So for everyone listening today, what is this one thing that they need to remember right now, right here?
Yeah. You are here for a reason. Like you are here for a reason. Like you were created, and not, your purpose doesn't have to be some macro level thing. Your purpose doesn't have to be saving the world, right? That's on other people. Your purpose can be saving your house. It could be being a good neighbor. It could, you have no idea the ripple that you can start by just being a kind human being, right? Being a kind human being can, man, cause so many different ripples of positivity. Like my mom, people would think that what she did was in like a micro level in terms of like the grand scheme of things. But if she didn't do what she did, I couldn't do what I'm doing. Like I'm chasing in a macro level thanks to her, right? So like you just never know, you know, how far that ripple is going to go. We're all cogs in the wheel. We're all very important. And there's a reason that you're here. And never forget that even on your worst day in the eye of the freaking storm, never forget that you were picked to be here.
Never forget. I love that. Thank you. So if anyone wants to learn about you more and about your work and about your books and everything you do, let's lay it down.
Oh, easy. Instagram at Cornell Thomas 34. That was my basketball number. So you can hit me up there. I always message people back. People are very surprised. They slide into my DMs like, hey man. I'm like, yo, what's up? They're like, oh, message back. I'm like, I'm super accessible. That's where I message most people. LinkedIn, Cornell Thomas, Twitter, Cornell Thomas, Facebook, Cornell Thomas, and my website's cornell-thomas.com. So anything you need to want to know, question, want to give me a virtual high five, just hit me up.
I love it. Thank you so much. And I've been sharing this at the end of the Gathering Movement interviews lately, but I have a very audacious goal of interviewing 100 people next year. I want to interview 100 way showers, pioneers, just badass humans who are here to empower the world. And on top of that goal, I want to interview at least 3 very famous people, because I want to show people that someone like me who isn't famous or rich or perfect can do it, because I want to be that change in the world. So if you know someone, anyone out there, you're going to tag them in this video and we're going to get this shit done.
I got you. I got you, B. I got you. Trust me. I got your back. I got some dope people that you can interview that are like, you'll love them.
Beautiful. Well, thank you. And thank you to everyone who is watching right now. Thank you to everyone who's going to be watching this in the future. We love you and you have a purpose. Thank you.